Just a few months ago, when I had a prior engagement with a friend, we were supposed to go out on a date. I had ended up canceling because my cousin had texted me, and I hadn't seen him in maybe 3 or 4 months, and I just saw that friend like 2 days ago, my best friend 2 days ago. So I didn't think it would be a problem for me to miss that date. And the only problem I had with the fact that I missed a date, or the way I approached missing a date, was I sent a text, and I don't think she really went for that. She said it was fine, but I knew that wasn't fine when I sent the text. With that being said, I have a question for all. How many times have you done this exact thing when you felt like the conversation you had with a friend might be too emotional or too awkward, and you would feel vulnerable having that type of conversation? Maybe you had to apologize for doing something, or maybe you had to tell them something that was unpleasant. Well, we're not the only ones. And that's why I have this topic that brings me to this topic of the harm or the damage that digital technology is having on college students. I'm grateful to speak about this research topic because I've been researching it for 3 months. I've done so because of the English 102 course I was taking, the research paper, and I had to read a book by Sherry Turkle. And throughout her book, Sherry Turkle basically talks about how digital technology is affecting the empathy of college students and how it's taken away from the face-to-face communication that they used to experience back in the day. So she talks about how they're being less sensitive, less emotional, less responsive to the needs and the wants of people who we may be in relationship with when talking. And it was really powerful for me reading this book because it helped me to reevaluate how I use my digital technology, how maybe it was affecting me. Maybe it was making me a little bit less responsive to the needs of my friends and my family when talking to them. And that's why I bring it to your attention. And that's why I'm talking about this today. First, we will observe digital technology and how it's damaging college students' empathy. Next, we'll look at cyberbullying and how digital technology may be increasing cyberbullying and leading to more bullies. Lastly, we will discuss how digital technology is leading to more car accidents. First of all, before we begin our discussion on how digital technology is harming or maybe a detriment to college students' empathy, let's discuss first, what is empathy? Okay, empathy can simply be defined as the ability to understand the feelings and thoughts of others. Now that we have reviewed the definition of what empathy is, we will briefly explore a couple ways on how overusing digital technology is harming college students' empathy. First, it's making them less sensitive, and it's making them less remorseful. It's also making them a little bit more narcissistic, in my opinion. In fact, Sarah Conrad, a social psychologist, states that college students are 40% less empathetic than they were in the 1980s and 1990s. Her and our colleagues during their study noticed that the most sizable drop was during the early 2000s, was the advent of social media, so MySpace and Facebook. To further illustrate this point of how digital technology is damaging the empathy of college students, we must first think about a situation. I'm gonna give you a hypothetical. So imagine you have a friend, and you're very close, but they do something that you are not gonna be okay with. They start talking to your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. And the way they break it to you, they don't even have the decency to have a dialogue with you. They don't want to have a conversation with you. They don't converse because it might be too emotional or too awkward. Instead, they opt to send a text or they opt to go to social media to talk about it because they don't want to be accountable or feel vulnerable or process your emotions and admit that they're wrong. How would you feel if they didn't have the decency, the honesty, the integrity to just say, I'm sorry, look, I made a mistake, or look, these feelings just happened. I didn't want to, like this person or be involved with this person, but it sort of just happened. How would you feel? I feel like with digital technology, we have to be responsible so we don't harm people emotionally. Controversially, some might say that digital technology is not harming empathy. There is no problem. There is no issue. We're just making this up. It's just some cockamamie theory that somebody just threw in the works. Some, such as Mark L. Carrier, a professor of psychology at California State University, he believed that empathy is on a continuum, and that empathy is not being lost to college students, but rather digital technology is making the empathy of college students evolve and shift from real life, face to face, to a more virtual, screen-based empathy. So virtual empathy can just be seen as someone developing empathy by looking at maybe videos on Facebook or any social media platform and feeling a connection to that person. Like they might look at something regarding gender or race or anything that's controversial, and they might actually see how it's hurting or affecting somebody else, and they might develop empathy that way. However, Mark L. Carrier's study showed that real life empathy is way more potent and way stronger than virtual empathy, the empathy that is screen based. Real life empathy is the empathy you experience when you're having a dialogue with somebody and you have eye contact and you're laughing and you're feeling all which they're feeling. You're expressing and they're expressing, and it's a give and take. So you're taking in all these signals and all these messages from your senses. Notwithstanding with this, digital technology does have its benefits, but I feel as though it is harming our empathy. The benefits include Google search, the apps and memes that we talk about with our friends and we have a joke and a laugh about, and the fact that it makes us talk faster. We can text, we can type, we can email, we can do all these different things. So it's a variety of ways we can communicate, and it's efficient. Who wouldn't love that? Who wouldn't like that? So I think this is great until a student engages in bullying because of digital technology, or they are messing with somebody because they have digital technology. Unfortunately, digital technology affords bullies ample time to mess with somebody, a victim, that they usually would only get to mess with in school, but because of the digital technology, their range extends from home to the train, when they're on the train looking at their phones, and they're not gonna wanna get off their digital technology because they don't wanna feel less connected to that culture, to their generation, because this is a digital age. So who wouldn't wanna be on their phone? Who wouldn't wanna, Skype or Snapchat or use any of these devices just because they're being bullied or victimized? As a matter of fact, according to Patty Johnston, a study with 666 undergrads shows that bullying is the issue. In the study, 22.5% of those undergrads engaged in bullying at least once, while 55.2% of them were victims. This therefore delineates and shows that digital technology is a problem, and it is leading to bullying in college students. And many parents and friends, or maybe teachers or relatives, may say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's simply just not true. Because long after those bruises and those blemishes have disappeared, that person will still feel those words. Those words will still be embedded in their head, and they'll still carry that weight in their heart, that stigma around with them always. I don't know if you know anybody that's been bullied. How would you feel if this was your brother or this was your sister, and they're coming home from school and they're stressed out and they're saying this person called me ugly or this person called me stupid, and it really hurt. How would you feel if somebody you loved was truly being victimized because not only bullying in school, but when they got home? So they couldn't escape this attack. They couldn't escape this assault on their character. Sometimes, this even leads to more severe cases where people cut themselves or they even commit suicide. So be responsible, because you could hurt somebody emotionally and not even know it. Lastly, to discuss another negative effect, of digital technology, car accidents are a big thing among college students. As stated by Victoria Lee, texting while driving slows down the reaction time of a driver by 35%. So you wouldn't want to be on your phone while you're driving. Could be very bad. On the contrary, some might say I'm an excellent driver. It doesn't affect or hurt my driving ability at all whatsoever. And I would say to them, it only takes a split second to alter the course of your life and somebody else's. So be responsible. Don't text while you're driving, because it could really lead to injury or even some cases death. And if you're just somebody that's looking at your GPS, well, that's fine, but be responsible in the way you do that too. It's a different way you can do that. You can use a Bractron, which is a device that hooks up to your vent at your car, and it keeps your phone at eye level. So instead of doing this, you're doing this. And that really is a big thing, and it really would help a great deal in regards to driving. So my point is simply this: be responsible on how you use your digital technology. To summarize my points, first we looked at digital technology and how it was harming the empathy of college students. Then we looked at how it was leading to more cyberbullying amongst college students. And lastly, we looked at the dangers of digital technology and how it led to more car accidents. In closing, I can see that digital technology is amazing and awesome in all the benefits it affords us. But I feel like we need to keep a close eye and be cognizant of how we're using it. Because as mentioned before, it can lead to you hurting somebody emotionally and not even knowing. It can lead to cyberbullying, and it can lead to car accidents. So my point is simply this: think about how you're using your digital technology. Think about how you're communicating with the people around you. Think about, are you texting while you're driving? Are you using your phone while you're driving? And in that instant, could you do something that not only altered your life, but altered that person's life? And not for the better, but for the worse. Be smart, be vigilant, and pay attention to how you use your digital technology. Thank you.